Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel? Or that white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you.
Shop Blinds.com Labor Day Mega Sale happening now. Save up to 50% site-wide plus a free measure. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and I hope you're having a wonderful Labor Day weekend. I know me and my wife had a nice breakfast, lunch, movie theater date today, and I hope you got to do the same with your families and your loved one. But it's NFL week. The football is back. The San Francisco 49ers have their first game this Sunday. The 2025 NFL season kicks off this Thursday. It's finally here. It is upon us. And with that comes the anticipation, the excitement, the exhilaration of knowing that in the span of, 6 more days, the Niners are going to suit up against the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle for week 1, and now we're wondering who's healthy, who's going to come back, and we have a ton of great news because San Francisco is finally healthy. San Francisco only has one player off on the sideline doing some work, only one player currently injured, and that means Jauan Jennings, yes, the Jauan Jennings that I'm holding out. I have a calf injury. I want to make sure I get paid, and if I don't, I'm not going to play. That guy, Jauan Jennings, has returned to the practice field for the San Francisco 49ers, essentially tabling the negotiations for a new contract. Maybe we'll get into that in the show later. We'll talk about how he looked today at practice, how the calf looked. Will he actually play in week 1 against the Seattle Seahawks? And where does that put the Kendrick Bourne sweepstakes? Because he was at the facility today in Santa Clara. Did he leave without signing a contract, or does that make their efforts even higher to re-sign and bring back KB into the red and gold? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the show, and let's dive in to a very important day of the San Francisco 49ers practice, because the following players, which includes Dominic Pooney, Kalia Davis, Yetur Gross-Matos, and wide receiver Russell Gage, have all returned to the practice field leading up to week 1 against the Seattle Seahawks. And within that group of 4 was another player, that being wide receiver Jauan Jennings. He was seen giving Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, who were on the practice field today, a bro hug. Maybe a sign that a deal has been made, or maybe a sign that a deal is being worked on, or maybe simply just welcome back to the practice field. Thank you for rejoining the efforts to be out here and help the roster and the team as we hope to get back to the playoffs this season. But the Jauan Jennings negotiation tactics, which it now seems like the calf injury was much more minor than I thought it was, or at least was a less of a problem than I thought it was. That said, it does seem like that Jauan, with him being back, I'm not sure if that ends negotiations. I'm not sure if that simply means they're going to table them for the rest of the year, or again, it could mean that his agent, being Drew Rosenhaus, and the San Francisco 49ers are working towards something. I don't think that's the case. We'll get into more of that again in a second, but happy to have Jauan back. This is a big thing for San Francisco because we had a lot of questions as to, how does the wide receiver room look week 1 without Jauan Jennings? Can you trust Pearsall? Can you trust Sky Moore? Can you trust, Jordan Watkins, who's still hurt, but hopefully is back by this Sunday. Can you trust Russell Gage? The Jauan Jennings absence, albeit isn't, let's say, Ayuk levels or top receiver levels for San Francisco. It certainly felt that way because they don't have Demarcus Robinson. They don't have Brandon Ayuk. And not having your other top 3 wide receiver out there certainly hurts you. So good to have Jauan back. It's an impactful return for them. What does it mean, though, for his future in San Francisco? Because I do not believe Jauan Jennings has signed a contract, and since now we know via Matt Barrows of The Athletic that there is no deal in place, there is no deal done. I also don't think San Francisco is going to, or at least has, upped his money for a year. It's certainly an option, maybe they have, but in my opinion, I do not believe San Francisco has given Jauan Jennings more money. Now, that is under the understanding that the calf injury was relatively serious and there is some concerns there. Now, if Jauan was playing it up, then okay, that makes that option more viable for the 49ers. But I think if you're the Niners, you're like, dude, finally, man, like all this crap you put us through, which there wasn't podcasts, there wasn't, TV appearances or social media posts, but it was like, really? Like, this is the first time the San Francisco 49ers, that being John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, this regime, have actually won a negotiation now. They've had easy ones, like Brock Purdy was pretty easy this offseason. Fred Warner and George Kittle were both also easy this offseason, but this is the first time that I can remember that this regime basically said, I'm not going to practice, I'm not going to play, I want you to trade me, and they held firm, called Jauan Jennings bluff and said, wait a minute here. Like, we know at some point your leverage runs out. We're not going to trade you. We're not going to sign you. We know you need us more than we technically need you. Now, we need you in between week 1 and week 3, but after week 3 comes back and Demarcus Robinson's fully on the roster again after his suspension, the Jauan Jennings absence becomes, or the hole in the roster becomes much smaller. So San Francisco finally called his bluff, finally said, we dare you to not play. And it kind of reminds me of the Raheem Mostert where he asked for a trade in 2021, 2020, whenever it was. And they said no. Now at that point in time, Raheem had one crazy year, kind of like Jauan, but didn't have as much leverage. He asked for a trade during the offseason, and it felt like it was a weird, random one, where this one made some sense. This one, at least you can see Jauan, the writing was on the wall. He wanted more money. It makes, it's an opportune time for him to ask for more money, but good on San Francisco. They had made it a precedent that they would pay anybody. In fact, I was talking to Larry Krueger, Friday last week, and he was saying his kid was like, they're going to give in. They always give in. San Francisco never doesn't not give in. They'll cave eventually. That was kind of the sentiment of his kid. And I was like, really? Like, this one feels different. San Francisco is actively cutting money off the roster, at least they did during the offseason. They cut Floyd, cut Malik Collins. They have chosen to, be really picky as to who they pay. And initially, I was all for paying Jauan. But as time has progressed, it's like, no. Like, if you want to shake the kind of label you put on yourself, the reputation that you have of paying everybody and it being all hunky-dory and everything's fine, and we'll kick that can down the road, to shake that, you have to do what San Francisco has done this offseason. Cut maybe some useless money or the fat off the roster, trade Deebo Samuel away, trade Jordan Mason away, bring in guys like Brian Robinson where the Commanders are paying part of his contract and he's on a 1-year deal, getting Sky Moore for basically nothing, and not pay Jauan Jennings. Like, not paying Jauan Jennings, for as bad as it may sound, really is a large part into shaking that, that kind of label they put on themselves of paying everybody. Ayuk gets a deal. McCaffrey gets a deal. Trent gets a deal. Kittle gets 2 deals. Warner gets 2 deals. Pay Purdy. Pay Jimmy Garoppolo. At some point, that has to stop. At some point, you have to almost take back control, right? It's like having a kid. You give him more leash, then boom, can't be trusted anymore. You tighten that leash back up. That was Jed and that was Prague. We're going to give Kyle and John some leash, right? Going to give them some leash. They are winning football games. We are inches, 1 yard away, a made extra point away from winning a Super Bowl. Give them more leash. Give them more leash. Okay, crap. That didn't work. Tighten the reins, bring them back in, and reel them back in to hopefully reset themselves. That's what San Francisco is doing. San Francisco smartly, at least as of September 1st, has not paid Jauan Jennings. They should not pay Jauan Jennings. And like they smartly have, called his bluff. He needs the Niners more than they need him. And I love Jauan. But they finally did something right here. I want to get to the YouTube chat for 1 second because Lori Matthews says, good evening, Sterling. Good evening, right back to you, Lori. Nice to see so many players back at practice. Yes, one man that's on the 53-man roster was not practicing today, and that was Jordan Watkins, who was doing work on the side. For all the talk of the injuries of, are we worried? Are you worried? How are we going to get healthy? San Francisco is healthy again walking into week number 1. Everybody's back. Everybody's healthy, minus Jordan Watkins. So, very, very, very great sign. Bobo asks here, or says here, trade Jauan Jennings, looks like, and Ayuk for Tyreek Hill. No. I do not want Tyreek Hill on this roster whatsoever. The money wouldn't make sense. He's older, not as good as he once was, but still really fast. So if you want speed, great, but I'd rather have a recovering Ayuk and a pissed off maybe Jauan Jennings, which he didn't seem pissed off today, so that's a good sign, over Tyreek Hill, at least this year. Lori Matthews says, Jauan Jennings will be smart to go out and play his arse off, as they say, for his next team. He needs to follow up on last year with good numbers. I would agree. I know Jauan wants to get paid. It makes all the sense in the world to want to get paid now. This is an opportunity for him to maximize on a career season last year in which he was 25 yards away from 1,000 on the campaign. Looked like a bona fide number 1, number 2 receiver in a bad offense, mind you, but or at least receiver-less offense last year with the Niners. And it makes sense. It makes sense for him, but not for San Francisco. And sometimes the chakras have to align. Sometimes the yin has to meet the yang, and San Francisco made it very clear this offseason. We're not handing out large money contracts to guys that we don't know can perform after this year. That's why you paid Brock and Fred and Kittle. All 3 of those guys, mainly Fred and Kittle, are really proven guys, perennial All-Pros. If they keep on their tracks, will be Hall of Famers, and Brock Purdy has shown to be a darn good quarterback in this offense with Kyle Shanahan. So, Jauan, for as good as he's been, 7th-round pick, you can find other Jauan Jennings across the league. Maybe not as good, but you can find guys comparable to that almost every single year in the draft. Brian Sadler asks in the YouTube chat, are we signing Shedeur Sanders? Niner faithful member for life, Brian Sadler. We should sign Shedeur for 4 years. Well, Shedeur plays for the Browns, and I don't want that sideshow on the Niners, but I like Shedeur himself. However, he's in Cleveland. Hope he works out for the best, but I don't want Shedeur in San Francisco. Doesn't make sense. So, Brian, I like the comment. I appreciate your input here, but no. Shedeur Sanders will not be coming to the San Francisco 49ers. Niners Throwback says, hit like and subscribe. Yes, please do that if you can. It's free, easy, and helps you out in the big way. Big Brick 84 says, hey, Sterling and the faithful. And Strawberry says, stealing. I think he meant Sterling, but I'll tell you a funny story today. Me and my wife went to breakfast around the corner. She has a day off. And she was like, honey, we haven't had a date in a while. I was like, all right, what do you want to do? And she thought the entire weekend, I don't know. I don't want to leave the house. It's hot. We have the dog. I don't know what we want to do. I said, look, we don't have to go out late. We can go out, early in the morning, avoid the rush of the traffic and whatnot. And she, okay, we go get breakfast. And you go to the waiter person, you go to the hostess, and you put your name down. And I tell her, hi, 2 of us, my name is Sterling. like sterling silver. And I kid you not, in a room that was filled to the brim of people waiting to get in, instead of saying sterling, she says, 2 for Sterloin? I could not help myself from laughing. I was like, who is Sterloin? Like, are you, like what? Like, Sterling, not Sterloin. No Sterloin steaks here. Like, what's going on? So, good to see you in here, Strawberry. And my name has been often hard for some people to pronounce, which we kind of gave her a hard time about it because I laughed really loud into the waiting room. But she was like, no, I said Sterling. And I was like, don't lie. I know what you said. You did not say my name right, so happy you're in here. Fish and Chips with the new profile picture says, healthy, with Kyle Shanahan's play calling not for long. You never know. Sometimes it's not great. The 49ers 2025 says, what's up, Sterling? And so does Papa J. How you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a great Labor Day weekend. Hope you guys got out there with the kids and the wife and the husband and the family. Whatever you got, 3-day weekends are always the best. As we head into the most important time of the year, not the holidays, football season. But let's get back to Jauan Jennings because that is the big news of the afternoon. And a larger question is, how does the calf look? Because you can be out there, but we've heard during the OTA sessions, during training camp, Jauan has a calf injury. So how did it look today? Jauan looked fine. Jauan looked, if he wasn't 100%, 99.9%. He was out there, full-on sprints, doing some cutting. Jauan looked like he had been practicing the entire time. No wrap on his leg. But I will give you this. He refused to talk to the media today. Now, I don't think that is related to his injury. However, I do wonder if that... They said he would talk to the media later in the week. Does that mean on Thursday? Does that mean on, Sunday after the game? Who knows? I'm hoping it's not Sunday after the game. You'd rather hear from Jauan before that, put this behind them. And Jauan doesn't feel like somebody that'll put his foot in his mouth. He's not going to crap on the team. But you'd rather kind of have this be in the rear view mirror for you. You'd rather have, Jauan fully focused, the team saying, we don't care about Jauan's contract, whatnot. The way John and Kyle looked like in their press conference last week, disheveled, annoyed, pissed off. I'd rather have Jauan be that of like, I don't want to get into it, behind closed doors and stuff like that. Big Brick 84 says, I don't blame Jauan for ducking the media. He already knows those questions are going to be, You're right. I don't blame Jauan for doing it. However, I think he should talk to them because he hasn't talked to them in like a month, which he doesn't owe the media that, but you would like to think that Jauan would at least address it, put it behind them. And look, and every single question will be, why'd you hold out? How's the calf? There's reports you're asking for $20 million, and that's the media's job. They have to ask that, and so I can get Jauan being like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But in regards to the calf, he looks fine. In regards to the media stuff, I also wonder, like, I don't know, like when you're in an argument with somebody and you're adamant you're right, which I think in this case that's Jauan. Like, I deserve if he was asking for $20 million a year. I want to get paid. I deserve to get paid. I'm right. And when you're proven wrong, like Big Brick 84 says here, humbled. And that was regards to his purple hair today, but I'm sure to a certain extent it was like, man, like I am a little bit embarrassed, and that's from my perspective, not his perspective, so maybe that isn't the case, but you got to think, you're walking into a situation in which you've lost. In San Francisco in previous years have been losing negotiations to Ayuk. They look foolish. They didn't trade him when they could have. They didn't sign him when they could have. Ayuk pulled out of a deal and redid a deal. They kind of looked dumb because of the Deebo Samuel contract and the Nick Bosa one, in which there's a varying degrees of wins and losses there for those certain contracts. But San Francisco often looks like the fool in these deals because they wait so long, guys miss camp, they hold out, they get him signed, they have a pretty, piss poor either first year of the contract or never live up to it, kind of like Deebo Samuel didn't. Maybe outside of 2023. He was pretty good that season. However, San Francisco finally was like, look, we're done looking foolish. Hence why Jauan walks in today of like, you got me. Oops, what can I say? I'm humbled, but out there smiling, dancing, having a good time, dapping up John and Kyle. So there has to be some bit of humbling for Jauan of like, well, that didn't work. I might as well come to the practice facility today and put some reps in because I know I have to be out there, week 1 against Seattle. I don't want to lose money. I can't afford to lose money. And San Francisco is probably like, yeah, like they're back there popping champagne. They're out there popping bottles, Wolf of Wall Street style. Like they just won the freaking World Series. Like, oh, thank God we didn't pay Jauan. Yes. And like they're out there doing body shots. It's John and Kyle. It's, it's Jed and Prague of like, oh, thank God, Now I'm envisioning Kyle Shanahan taking body shots off of John Lynch, which is disgusting. And I never want to see that in my life. But knowing Kyle, Kyle's kind of a freak and kind of gets down. But it definitely was a celebration today in the Niners facility, knowing we didn't pay Jauan Jennings, and he's here and he's back. So that is a win for the San Francisco 49ers. And there seems to be some discussion in the YouTube chat regarding Jauan's calf injury. Papa J says here in the YouTube chat, in my opinion, people are missing the point that his calf is good because he took time to heal it. I do think that there is something there that maybe Jauan's, like, the way I read it was Jauan's calf injury was real, and San Francisco was worried it could become really serious. They're not meant to be played with or toyed with, and the rest for almost the entirety of training camp would likely mean he, have time to come back and be ready for the season opener. But there also is, which may have more credence now and maybe the entire time during his holdout or injury, that Jauan didn't want to practice during negotiations and that John Lynch has kind of been saying that to speak for Jauan to kind of hide it. Albeit Jauan was getting treatment on Instagram, which I don't think he would do that for show to fans or the media. So I do think it does lean towards the former of like, yeah, Jauan had a calf injury. It was minor. He didn't want to hurt himself. He didn't want to practice because if he got hurt before getting paid, then he's screwed. And San Francisco was like, hey, we're not going to pay you because you're hurt. That worries us as well. So I think it's kind of a big jumbled mess of both. I still don't think he gets paid, though. I don't think Jauan will be signed to a new contract this season. Maybe that means Jauan will get a higher guaranteed contract for 1 year after coming back for a few weeks. I can see San Francisco, if Jauan comes back for weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, and proves he's healthy for a year or for 4 weeks or so, to give him more money this year. And kind of give him whether it's incentive-based, kind of tacked onto his guarantees and say, hey, look, you did us good, we'll do you good. San Francisco always seems to want to do their players well, doesn't ever really want to kind of do them wrong in these aspects. I always point to 2019. They gave Sherman his incentives and didn't even reach it. But they said, hey, look, you're Richard Sherman, you were great for us. We're going to give you the money anyways as a do-good for helping us be great. So I can see San Francisco in some way helping Jauan out, that way of being like, hey, you know what? You're healthy finally. Here's $2-3 more million of guaranteed money. Redo his deal, then go on from there. But as we stand now, Jauan back for 1 day. I do not think Jauan gets paid at all by San Francisco. I think they are in the area, they're in the mindset that we are going to have to risk guys reaching free agency, seeing the market for them, then making a play then. I think that is the route they'll take. Maybe I'm wrong, and that's okay. I love Jauan. If he's here for the next 3-4 years, awesome. But I don't think that would be wise to do that this year. I have no problem waiting for Jauan to hit the market, and I don't think San Francisco minds it either. They like him, they love him, but sometimes the almighty dollar speaks a lot more than the heart. And I think in this case, Jed and Prague are like, hey, the champagne's already popped. Not because we paid him, because we didn't. So that's not going to happen. So again, maybe I'm wrong. However, I don't think that's the case. But the larger question then becomes, if you're not going to pay Jauan, but he's back on the practice field for you for the time being, will he play week 1 against the Seattle Seahawks? I think the answer pretty much is yes. Now, Kyle made it very clear that Jauan would have to practice to play. Jauan's at practice on a holiday, mind you. Leading up to week 1, he'll probably get a practice in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday if they do the full 3. Or if they do Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, walk through Thursday, plane ride Friday, boom, you're there on Sunday. It depends on how they do things and what the schedule's like this week, but he should get 3 or 4 practices in, including a walkthrough before week 1. So maybe that'll give San Francisco, some indication as to where he'll be or how much he'll play, but I do think that Jauan, there's a serious possibility he's on a snap count, whether it is 20 or 30. Who knows? Maybe it's less than that. Maybe it's more. I don't know. It depends on how good the offense does against Seattle's defense. But it does feel like San Francisco, depending on how much he practices this week, we will know more about his status and how much he will play week 1. But right now, he will be suited up on Sunday against the Seahawks. And I think that kind of brings us to the other question as to how does the receiver room look now? You have Ricky Pearsall. Amazing preseason, amazing training camp. Looks like the Ayuk replacement for the time being. And then once Ayuk gets back, he's still your first-round pick of 2 years ago. Looks great. Him and Purdy are in lockstep with the chemistry. You have Russell Gage. You traded for Sky Moore. I don't love both those players, but okay, they're depth guys. What do you have to offer me? Jordan Watkins is injured, but working his way back from injury. Then you have Jauan Jennings. And if the idea is Jauan will start opposite Pearsall, which I am assuming that's the case this Sunday, even if he plays limited snaps, he will start that game for San Francisco. So you have Jauan, you have Pearsall, Russell Gage, it seems like they're comfortable being the receiver number 3. You have your gadget guy and Sky Moore being the receiver 4. You can always have Watkins either be healthy or inactive for that game if he's still hurt and elevate Robbie Chosen-Anderson, Malik Turner, or Junior Burgeon. I would assume it's Robbie Chosen-Anderson. How does that look to you guys? If San Francisco walked into week 1 against Seattle with Pearsall, a somewhat limited Jauan Jennings, Russell Gage, Sky Moore, and Robbie Chosen-Anderson or Jordan Watkins, does that room make you feel comfortable against what is supposed to be a pretty good and improved Seahawks defense? Now, we'll go more into that later on in the week as we preview each game here on the show. But again, if you walked into week 1 with Jauan, Pearsall, Chosen-Anderson, Russell Gage, and Sky Moore, is that a confident group or a group you can have confidence in against the Seahawks? I think it's it's not great by any means, but really San Francisco, as long as you have those 2 guys at the top, you're going to be okay. San Francisco should be able to survive a week in Seattle, which the Seahawks are going to be a tough team this year. They always are, whether it's Pete Carroll, Mike McDonald, Geno Smith, Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold. It's a NFC West division rival. It's going to be a tough game. They believe they can win the division. They beat San Francisco once last year, but I think it opens up so much, especially if Jauan is healthy, 100%, no lingering calf issues. You still have Kittle, you have Christian McCaffrey, but on the ground especially, I don't really trust anybody else outside of Jauan as a blocker, as a wide receiver on the boundary. So I think that is a pretty big get-back return for San Francisco, where Jauan, as a receiver, hands, clutch, height, length, he has a lot of the things you like from the archetypal standpoint, but as a run blocker, that to me is going to be great, and hopefully you can kind of get things in order, win 2 of your first 3 games. Hopefully you can win all 3 of them, but I do think that you're kind of just biding your time to get back to week 4 with Robinson returning. That'll obviously push guys like Sky Moore, Russell Gage most likely off the roster, maybe even somebody else, but Jordan Watkins could go on IR. There's things they can do. However, there is kind of a lingering undertone. Jauan's back. Great. Well, the same day, that being today, Monday, you had Kendrick Bourne in the building for a visit. And before we get into that, I want to remind all of you out there to 1, like, share, and subscribe. But number 2, use promo code 49ersaccess. Oh, what a segue. 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. It is the #1 ticketing app in the country. Green tickets mean it's a great deal. Red tickets mean it's a bad deal. I use it. My wife uses it. My family uses it. It is the best place to help get the best tickets in a pinch or way ahead of time. And I'm going to help you save some money on top of that by using promo code 49ersaccess, 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com. You can save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Let's talk about Kendrick Bourne, because with Jauan back, it does complicate things. Or maybe it doesn't complicate things and it's really maybe more simple than we're making it out to be. But one option is for San Francisco to simply sign Kendrick Bourne and place, maybe it's Jordan Watkins on injured reserve for the time being. Now, I hate to do that. I think it's unwise, but they'd have to find a roster spot open if they do sign Kendrick Bourne, so that is one route to take. Get Kendrick Bourne in the building, and it may indicate that if they do sign KB, that 1, they don't love the depth in the room behind Jauan and Pearsall, but 2, maybe Jauan is still having calf issues, which doesn't seem like it's the case, but you never know. Something, Jauan maybe held out the entirety of training camp, so you never know what's going on with the wide receivers' ego and head when they want some more money. So that's one option. Just sign Kendrick Bourne, improve your depth, give you somebody that knows the offense and can probably run it at a fairly consistent rate compared to guys like Junior Burgeon, Robbie Chosen-Anderson, who was pretty good in the preseason, or Jordan Watkins, Sky Moore, other guys like that. So that is an option. They can also sign KB and then not place Watkins on IR. They can maybe cut Saran Neal. I would not do that, but that's an option maybe. Or cut Jake Tungis and utilize Tungis or Braden Willis on the practice squad as an elevation. I wouldn't want to do that, but sometimes, and we've seen it already in the last week or so, San Francisco has been kind of tinkering with their roster in small ways to hopefully improve it this year. You saw them cut Evan Anderson after they got Jordan Jefferson in there, and they re-signed Anderson to the practice squad. They're trying new things to help insulate the roster and give them some more depth. That's an option. Cutting fringe roster guys to make room for Kendrick Bourne. Would I do that? No. Would I even sign Kendrick Bourne? Probably not, especially if you believe Jauan's going to be out there for the first 3-ish weeks or so of the NFL season, hopefully further if he actually plays the entire year. But to me, and I want to get into, theory time, play the X-Files music, like whatever the music is for the X-Files, can I toss a theory out to you? Kendrick Bourne. Love him. The vibes are great. The smiles are big. You're having a great time. He was a good receiver back in 2019 and 2018. There's reasons to love KB. Am I wrong to believe? Am I off my rocker to think that the Niners may have been using Kendrick Bourne as a simple pawn in their game to reel in Jauan Jennings and lure him back to the practice field and say, hey, Kendrick Bourne knows the offense. Kendrick Bourne has played in the offense and was successful before you were here, Jauan. In fact, Kendrick Bourne may have been Jauan Jennings before there was even a Jauan Jennings in San Francisco. Oh, Jauan wants more money. Oh, Jauan may hold out. Oh, Jauan may not play week 1. We'll sign Kendrick Bourne. Papa J says that was the worst X-Files music imitation I've ever heard. Hey man, I'm not known for my musical talent, so forgive me on the show as I try to have some fun here on a Labor Day afternoon. But I knew it wasn't good, but I thought you'd like it out there, so I gave you a little taste as to what we're doing here on Labor Day here in 2025 on 49ers Access. But I do, to a certain extent, I'm not going to go, just go crazy with it, but San Francisco not wanting to pay Jauan may have kind of been like, hey, let's make him jealous. Hey, we'll bring in the X for a couple days for a visit. You see it more in high school, but it's like the jealous X thing sometimes works. It's really immature. It's really egotistical. It's a dumb move to make. And I like to think San Francisco's better than that, but I'm sure to some extent there was legitimate fear that Jauan wasn't going to show up. Jauan wasn't going to practice. Jauan wasn't going to come out there today and be like, oh, my cap's fine. I don't need money. Ha ha ha. And in that case, you just put him on IR, sign KB and go, well, this is what we wanted, but what we have now. That's one route to take. It would not have backfired for San Francisco. What's Jauan gonna do? Get more angry? Okay. You gonna not practice more? Okay. You're under contract. If you don't play, it's not a vested year for you, and you're back under the deal next year too. So, that same thing stands for Ayuk's contract last year of I'm gonna hold out. Okay, we dare you. We dare you. He was never going to hold out actual games. But it does feel like that San Francisco pulled the old, jealous X move of if they just see us flirting with KB, talking to KB, hey KB, how you doing? Hey KB, where you been at? Hey KB, nice to see you again. Ooh, KB, that foot looks nice. Ooh, KB, them routes look crisp. Ooh, and Jauan's like, you know what? I gotta get back out there. I gotta show them what I can do. They think KB's better than me? No way. And Jauan's like, I'm healed. I was baptized. I'm back. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, that actually worked. Great. And John's like, look what I did. That to me feels like what San Francisco did. Of you know what? We don't hate our ex. In fact, we like our ex. It ended amicably. We parted ways. It was a handshake. Best of luck. See you down the road. Hope you're okay. If one day fate brings us back together, I'll be open to it. That was San Francisco. That was Kendrick Bourne. Meanwhile, Jauan's fuming. His hair went from purple to blue to red to green, back to red. Now it's on fire, and Jauan's like, oh, I'll come back to practice. All right, it worked. The old jealous exploit maneuver worked. It was the old triple Lindy, but it was Kendrick Bourne and Jauan Jennings and Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch all combined. It was old triple Lindy. It worked. San Francisco played the game, and they won. They called Jauan Jennings' bluff, had a relatively nice backup plan in Kendrick Bourne if that didn't work out for them, which they got lucky, but it was there. Why not use it? Made Jauan jealous. There you go. Mick Mallow says here, I think that happened too. It worked. It did. It did work. Big Brick 84 says, bringing in KB was the last move for the 49ers before tossing JJ on PUP list or IR, and it worked. That's exactly what I'm saying here. It was all a ploy. It was all a ploy. I was watching Austin Powers recently, which my wife has never seen Austin Powers. I know it's a little old now, and sometimes the jokes don't fly as, in this world as they did back then, but it reminds me of when, I think it's in the first one where there's like a spy woman, and like, he's like, that's a man. And he turns around. It's like a totally different actor. It's like a guy in a skirt and a thing, which like, whatever, but like, that's what it was for. It was old trick. I'm like, that's a man. That's not Kendrick Bourne. And Jauan Jennings is like, I'll put a uniform on. It's Jauan Jennings. Lori Matthews says here, somebody reel me in tonight. We're having too much fun. Who let me have fun on the show? Laura Matthews says, having a backup plan is something that the Niners haven't been great at. 1,000% true point. I like to see them try to ensure this roster has the best chance to be successful. It's a great point. San Francisco often flies by, unfortunately, the seat of their pants, where they have one route. They aren't even open to trading their stars, which it does seem like at times is foolish, but it often works out. We'll see how the Micah Parsons trade goes, but, sometimes it works out. San Francisco gets so adamant they're going to bring back their guys. Oh, we love Brandon Ayuk. Oh, we got to have Christian McCaffrey, which, yeah, who doesn't want those guys when they're 100% healthy? Obviously. Who doesn't love Jauan Jennings? We all love Jauan Jennings. But sometimes relationships have to end for both of you. And I can tell you, I haven't had many girlfriends in my life. Thankfully, I found a great one pretty quickly, and we've been married for a year and over time now, and we're going strong. But, like, you're in high school, you're in college, you date, you find out more about yourself, and you go, you know what? You're a great person. I like you a lot, but this is not going to work out. We're on two different paths. Like, there was a girl my freshman year of college. We were talking, went on a few dates. She was like, meet my parents. And I said, hey, it's date 3. That's too soon. Like, you're great. You're great, but like, that's really soon for me. Don't want to do that. We were on two wavelengths. She wanted the husband thing, and I was like, hey, I don't even know what I'm going to have for dinner tomorrow. Like, I pulled the old Kyle Shanahan. Am I going to be alive tomorrow? Sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes things don't work out. Really don't work out. For Jauan and San Francisco, or at least, like, they finally had a backup plan. Like Lori Matthews says here, having a backup plan is something San Francisco's not been great at. Well, finally, and sometimes backup plans fall into your lap. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that was even there. But I'll tell you this, the wise words of one Tim Jordan. Tim Jordan works at 95.7 The Game. I used to work behind the board every night. I ran every single Golden State Warriors radio broadcast since 2020 up until 2023. So 4 seasons, 20, 21, 22, 23. I was there throughout playoff runs, NBA championship runs. I didn't get a lick of training, really. It was, hey, go. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had to figure it out by myself. Tim Jordan gave me wise words. And I think it's something San Francisco should learn. And Tim Jordan is the head engineer at Odyssey and 95.7 The Game. He said, when things go awry, when there's chaos, when you don't know what to do, like, and you're just losing your mind, you're panicking, always prepare and have a place to safely land the plane being whatever you're doing, right? My wife, when she's driving, hey, be a defensive driver. Don't be aggressive. Know where your escape routes are in case some jackhole behind you goes nuts and is swerving and this, that, and the other. The same thing for San Francisco. Sometimes it feels like they're in a plane with no jump, parachutes, with no landing gear, and it's like, hey, we're going to crash this puppy Captain Solo style, and we're going to hope this thing works out. Hold on to your seats, folks. Put your oxygen masks on and just pray for dear life. We can work this thing out. This year, San Francisco, to maybe not even their own choosing, had a backup plan, and it paid off. Now, we'll see if they actually sign Kendrick Bourne. Maybe, again, Jordan Watkins doesn't come back by week 1, and they feel comfortable having KB on the roster. So maybe the backup plan just find his way on the roster at some point in time. But, man. Aaron here. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Aaron. I appreciate you. Looking forward to the cover of 3, hopefully this Friday at 2 p.m. Cannot wait. Last Friday, we had the Micah Parsons breaking news during the show. It was awesome. Me, Aaron, and Dre Avery Sports do that show on Fridays. But he says here, with a generous $5 super chat, saying, "Seen you on with Larry Krueger. Felt like a jealous ex-girlfriend." Seriously, though, hope you're having a great stream. Thank you so much, Aaron. Hope you're having a great Labor Day weekend. I know we are here with my wife and I. We went to breakfast and saw a movie. We saw Weapons today. It was fantastic. No spoilers here, but I love myself a horror thriller. So does my wife. And it was a good one. A really good one. Run to the theaters like they run in the movie. Get out there. It's good. It's fun. It's awesome. It's a good 2-hour ride. We also tried the kettle corn at the Cinemark. Also underrated. That puppy was gone in about 5 minutes, so get yourself a Cinemark movie theater, some kettle corn, and go watch Weapons as we speak. And look at this segue. When talking about weapons, San Francisco now has one of their best weapons back on the roster, that being Jauan Jennings. Oh, look at that stuff. Let's get to one of the comments here by Papa J. He says, "I guess it's like Lynch being that girlfriend and saying to her boyfriend, 'I got options,' and him coming back with his tail between his legs." Honestly, what did Jennings think he could do? "I'm going to hold out." San Francisco says, "We'll fine you." He's like, "Well, can't do that." "I'm going to ask for a trade." San Francisco says, "We're not going to trade you." Him being like, got me again. Like, nothing Jauan could do was going to benefit him at all. Big Brick 84 asks in the YouTube chat, speaking of backup plans, Sterling, what do you think about the 49ers signing Killian? I think it's Zaire. I think that's his name. Under the radar. I think San Francisco simply just wanted another tackle on the roster and thought that'd be the way to do it. He is the 17th guy in the practice squad via the international signing thing they can do. I think it's similar as to what they did with Sebastian Gutierrez, albeit Gutierrez hadn't really played much football in America, whereas Zaire, I think, has, or Zaire, or whatever his last name is, forgive me. And Bitbrick 84 says this too as well, that a huge German swing tackle signed off the Texans waiver wire, 6'7", 315 pounds, and played at Auburn in college. So a lot to like, obviously, size, length. I don't love my tackles being 6'7". I think that being 6'5" is a good height. 6'4" is a good height. I don't love 6'7" tackles. Really, I don't even love a 6'7", like, as soon as you reach that threshold, it's like, wow, you're kind of playing with fire of like, you lose leverage really quickly. The minute, let's say Nick Bosa, for example, gets into your pads, it's over. Now, to your credit, I have not done any work into this player. I don't know much about him, but you saying he's 6'7", 315, albeit may be like, oh, he's really big. Sometimes too big. That's the case sometimes where you have guys that can move, and Shanahan also likes smaller tackles. He likes shorter arm tackles that can move, where you like to have, bigger tackles, 6'5", guys that can also move, but like Trent Williams is an example of that. But 6'7" to me is scary. Like, it's almost like Aaron Judge playing baseball. Your strike zone becomes a lot bigger, and the room for error becomes bigger as well. You can get called out on strikes. Now, Judge is phenomenal, but, for a 6'7" tackle, you get a 6'2", 6'3", tough SOB as an edge rusher, and it may be a long day for you. Like, I would love to see Mykel Williams with that length and his arm length, like, get inside that chest. It might be over, which maybe even 6'5" is too big. 6'4", 6'3", like, there's a real limit of, like, where you want your tackles. But seeing someone be 315 pounds, hopefully he's strong. If you can survive the bull rush, that'll help you. The one thing you can't do is be big, have a high pad level, let guys into your chest, and also not be able to survive the bull rush. So Big Brick also says he thinks that he'll replace Austin Pleasance on the roster. He also may be Trent Williams' replacement when he retires one day. I don't think Trent Williams' replacement is on the roster right now. I don't think he's anywhere near the roster. Badger says, Larry Krueger, friend of the show, mind you, already has this guy in the Hall of Fame. Love Larry. Sometimes he does get a little over his skis with the pro comparisons, but love Larry. He's a great guy. Great dude. Me and him talked for a long time on Friday. It was a great show. Love being on a show. He's always been kind to me. Good guy. In person, I worked with him for a handful of years at 95.7 The Game. And he's always been one of one Larry Krueger. Don't always agree with the football takes, but he's a pretty good dude that have had good things to say about him. Always treated me well on and off screen. So love myself some Pig in a Pickle Krug show. That's how I'll word that. Aaron from 49ers First Takes also says, if DeMarcus Robinson and Pearsall ball out this year, I can see the Niners moving on from Jauan, Jennings, and Brandon Ayuk. I don't think it'll be both. I think it'll be one or the other. I don't have Ayuk's contract in front of me, so forgive me for this. I'm not prepared for this question. I do think that Jauan right now is more likely to not be back in San Francisco than Brandon Ayuk. I think that's a pretty high possibility that Ayuk is here. Looking at his contract for next year, there is an opt-out or potential out in 2027, so that's an option. We'll see if that gets triggered, but I think it's by him. However, San Francisco's dead cap goes to $55 million via trading a $15 million dead cap hit. You can say that San Francisco may be better taking on a bigger dead cap hit before things explode in 2027 to a $41 million cap hit and a $43 million cap hit, but the options are open. Like, if Ayuk comes back and is healthy and looks great, San Francisco can also just say, let's redo your deal. I just don't think that, like, Trent, to me, impending free agent, if he wants $20 million, the odds San Francisco lets him walk are pretty high. Whereas the odds San Francisco can actually trade Brandon Ayuk to another team are pretty low with his money. But you never know. Things can certainly happen. But I think, if anything, San Francisco would view Jauan as great player, can't afford him, give us the comp pick, and we'll call it a day. That's a long ways away. Funny enough, I had a show planned for the weekend, and I was like, maybe it isn't the right time, and it was going to be detailing 3 teams I could see San Francisco trade Jauan Jennings to if he doesn't come back. So didn't do that show for obvious, didn't happen, but was talking about the Raiders and others in that grouping, and that was dependent on Jacoby Myers and what happens to him. But I I went through 3 teams. Who do I like? Not like. That show didn't come out. Didn't even record it. But I went through who I think Jauan could match up with money-wise, who has a need and everything. But happy I didn't, because Jauan is back. I don't think Jauan's getting traded. I don't think Jauan's getting cut. There still remains 2 options for Jauan Jennings. Play, which that feels like the pretty obvious choice to make. Play, write out your contract, and hopefully you can get paid either during the year like Lenore did a couple years ago, or go to free agency, ball out this year for San Francisco, maximize your value, get paid elsewhere, or by the Niners, we'll see. Probably elsewhere. And then the other option is hold out, don't play, get fined, and get placed on IR. Jauan coming back today, though, I think erases that entire, that's gone. The fact that he showed up today, to me, indicates that he's not holding out, and San Francisco will not place him on IR. That option is off the table. It's not there. They'll just fine him, suspend him, and if he comes back, maybe he'll recoup the money. San Francisco, again, always likes to do good by their players and bring those guys back. But people did not seem to believe they were going to penny pinch and be fickle. And here we are. Jauan's probably not getting paid for multiple years. To put this in stone, I do not think Jauan Jennings will sign a 2 or 3 year deal contract with the San Francisco 49ers. I do not believe there'll be an extension in place with JJ. Love him, like him a lot, think he's a heck of a player. I do think there is an option for San Francisco to up his money this year. Give him a do-good. You were great last year. We love you a lot. We want you to stay here, hopefully long-term, but we can't meet your needs. And see where that goes when the season's over with, or return to the negotiation table by weeks 12. But that seems to be the two, that right there in stone. I do not think Jauan Jennings is getting signed to an extension. Now, I'm sure tomorrow it'll say, Jauan Jennings signs a $36 million deal with San Francisco with the 42 with incentives. But that just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case for JJ. And if it happens, awesome, great. I don't think I would want them to do that. I don't think I'd be a fan of it. Honestly, let me ask you guys this. Of the players San Francisco has re-signed, you can rank them, good deal, bad deal, bad. Like the Deebo Samuel deal, probably a bad deal in retrospect for San Francisco. Where would signing Jauan Jennings or re-signing Jauan Jennings, say to a 3-year deal, where do you think that would rank on the initial good or bad deal scale? I think it would rank, depending on the money, obviously, I think it would rank a skew closer towards a bad deal than a good deal. That's simply, and I'm someone that believes if Jauan's healthy, his skill set can translate for 6 more years. He isn't fast, he's big, he's slow, and he blocks. Those guys can last a long time in the NFL. He isn't a speedster, he isn't Sky Moore, he isn't Tyreek Hill. Speed goes. Jauan's skill sets will be there for a long time. But I do wonder that, where would that, if they signed him to a new contract, where does it rank on the bad or good side of the scale for San Francisco? I think it may lean towards the bad, at least on the initial concept of it getting done. I don't think I'd want to do that. I would be more for San Francisco, or Christian McCaffrey's deal, Ayuk's deal, Trent Williams' deal, Warner, Kittle, Purdy. I'd be more to say those were good deals, or at least have a higher chance of being good deals for San Francisco compared to a Jauan Jennings contract. I don't think I would even want to touch Jauan at all. Hey, shake hands, goodbye. Maybe Jauan becomes the next Kendrick Bourne. Think about this. It is Jauan Jennings' big slot receiver inception. They let Kendrick Bourne leave for more money in New England. 4 years later, Jauan Jennings leaves for more money made to New England. And in 4 more years, after they find the next Kendrick Bourne Jauan Jennings III, he wants to get paid after being a 6th-round pick or a 7th-round pick, and they let him leave. But they bring back Jauan Jennings in camp for a workout to see if they can get a deal done to force him back into practice because he has a calf injury. Jauan Jennings, big slot receiver, Inception. It's like in Austin Powers, he goes, -22. Preparation H. This is Preparation Jauan Jennings. Man, it all makes sense. It's a full circle, folks, here on 49ers Access. Kenny 49ers asks here, Sterling, how was your show with Larry Krueger? Were you able to talk? I was. I actually put on YouTube, on TikTok, and on Twitter, and on Instagram. All the socials were given this post. It was a post of myself and Larry Krueger discussing Jauan Jennings and kind of figuring out what was holding things up, what may be going on behind the scenes, and some of it may have been said in the show, but I thought it was pretty interesting. It was about a 2-minute clip of me and kind of going back and forth and whatnot, but Larry does his thing. I love Larry. Great dude, good guy. I should be more aggressive in those podcasts with him, talking, be more adamant, being myself, but I'm a guest. I don't want to be rude. I'm in your house, man. If you don't want my shoes on your carpet, man, the shoes are off. I'm sorry. So maybe I should be a little more forthcoming, but I will say this. I would love one day for me and Larry, we haven't got to yet. I would love one day for me and the Krug Show to host a radio show. That would be awesome, but haven't had a chance to do that yet. But I will tell you this. After the Niners game this Sunday, Niners, Seahawks, around 1 o'clock in Seattle, Washington, when the game's over, win or loss, go to 95.7 The Game on your radio or on YouTube. And guess what you'll see? Me. That's right, me. Talking about the Niners' hopeful win, Week 1, against the Seattle Seahawks, right after the game's over with my guy, Mark Grandy, on Overtime. Check that out. Real fun. Then come right back here after the game. I guess after overtime. Later on in the evening, when we're all drunk, having a good time after the game, and celebrating, hopefully, come right back here to this YouTube channel and the podcast and listen to my direct takeaways with you guys. We can discuss the game, react to the game, have a good old time ourselves after Week 1 of the NFL season. My wife is happy, yet equally upset football is back because she knows she loses me every Thursday, Monday, and Sunday for football. So I told her, I go, hey, babe, football's on Thursday. She went, I guess. So hopefully this year will be good for her. Usually I tell her, honey, go to the bedroom, or I'll go to the bedroom. We'll watch. We'll watch. You can watch your shows. I'll watch my shows. It'll be great. What do you need from me? I'll make dinner. Just let me have these couple of days of the week. And she's like, whatever. So hopefully, but I'm really excited. Another year of San Francisco football around the corner. Niners, Seahawks, Week 1. We will preview that later on this week, hopefully on Thursday, maybe on Wednesday. I'll keep you on your toes, but it's coming. Get into everything regarding the game, how I think San Francisco can win, how I think they can lose, what is the Seahawks' weaknesses, what are their strengths, and we'll get into everything. Hopefully, Jauan Jennings is active for Week 1. Hopefully, San Francisco gets all 53 guys back by Week 1. Just one guy remaining. Looking at you, Jordan Watkins. Hopefully, you can get back for the Seahawks game, but you know what? It's here. Finally here. A long offseason is over. 3 more days. Tuesday, Wednesday, the third day is Thursday. Football is back. Then a couple more days to wait for the red and gold to take over Seattle. They're wearing their whites. What can we say? But man. I cannot wait for football to be back for real. Preseason, whatever, training camp. Get me real Smash Mouth football. Can't wait for it to be back. Let's see here. Lori Matthews says, that's why it's always smart to marry a girl who likes football. She doesn't like football. I'll tell you that. She likes baseball, which is fine. The Giants are on a heater, by the way. Anyways, she likes baseball, doesn't like football, but as every day goes by, she's like, honey, isn't this really nice sweater cool? And it's like Fred Warner and some Niners, sweater on Abercrombie and Fitch. Honey, look what I found. It's like a Niners jersey. Honey, Brock Purdy's so cute. I didn't realize that George Kittle is so funny. And I'm like, yeah, it's great. It's great. So she's slowly kind of unpeeling the banana to her being a Niner fan. So it's getting there. Papa J says here, you have to mod your wife so she can get us in line. She right now is crocheting or knitting some Halloween stuff for the house, some decorations. So she's in her full, fall festival Halloween stuff, but she's getting there though. We are entering what I like to call the spooky mama season, the scary season. The horror movies are going to be on, or the horror movies are going to be on. Really enunciate that word better for the ladies out there, but horror movies are going to be on. Cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. Niner football this Sunday. Don't forget to come back to this channel. Thank you, everybody in the YouTube chat. You guys have been great. The conversation's been phenomenal. Hopefully you guys can like, share, and subscribe to the show here. Tell your friends about it. If they're Niner fans, if they're Seahawks fans, come back to this very YouTube channel later on this week to preview Niners, Seahawks, then come back on Sunday to react to the hopeful win by the San Francisco 49ers. Hope you guys had a great Labor Day weekend. 3 days off. What a treat that is. I wouldn't mind more of that in the future. Holidays are right around the corner. But the year's flying by, but that just means football gets here a little faster, which is never a bad thing. Thank you, everybody in the comments. You guys can follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram, and use promo code 49ersaccess, 49ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Thank you all again. Enjoy the rest of your Labor Day. Sleep well, rest up. Back to work tomorrow. I know it sucks, but we're almost there to football. A handful of days away. Thank you all again. Like, share, and subscribe. And as always, my name is Sterling Bennett, and until next time, stay faithful.